be added in to clean that up.
Oh, thank you. So that's that's just for information. It'll be brought up in the bylaw later on in the meeting. Thank you very much. The second item on this is Connecting Link Intake Program, 7.1.2 Municipal Report. And again, it's I think Hillary was supposed to have this one on his agenda, wasn't it? Here we go. Maybe you could help us here again, Mike, on this.
Absolutely.
Pretty straightforward. Yeah, thank you.
Yep, through you, Chair. So this, we're looking just for direction to apply for the Connecting Link funding. This is an ongoing program. They sent us the notification that their intake is open again. So we're hoping to put in again for basically the same as last year, with exception of removing the microsurfacing. So this year will be replacing existing courtesy crosswalks with the epoxy, repainting the lines and stop blocks, and then doing the concrete aprons around the manholes and catch basins. So that's what we're going to be applying for. And everybody knows it's a good program. Obviously, we only have to put in, I think, 10%. So it's a really good value for our money if we can be successful. And talking with the lady last year after our application was unsuccessful, we removed the one item that was kind of, she didn't seem to think was a great item, and the other ones we're going to try again. So we're just looking for direction on this one, Carol.
Thank you. And I guarantee you that the catch basin one is it's pretty rough when you hit that on a motorcycle, boy. You're going all over the place. So it's dangerous, and I'm glad to see it getting addressed here. So this is just direction to staff to apply for the funding. Do we have to have a recommendation read out for that, Sue?
Yes, please. If I could read it out, that the operations manager is directed to apply for the 2022-2023 Connecting Link funding intake as proposed.
Also move that. Could I have a seconder, please? And seconded by Councillor Wilmer. Any further discussion on that? I see none. Could I have a vote on that, please? All in favor?
In favor.
Thank you very much, Ernie. And that's passed. Thanks a lot, Mike. Now, let's see what I got here. Bear with me, if you wouldn't mind. And we have an operations update from you, Mike. So you should know this. Yeah, we're getting ready for winter, eh?
Absolutely, Carl.
Very sad time, but very, very busy for our staff. So you got quite a few items here to cover. So I'll just let you go over them if you wouldn't mind, Mike.
Absolutely, through there, Chair. Yeah, so it's pretty crazy to think that we're already getting ready for winter again, and don't know where the time goes, but a couple of items that our hot mix tender is all completed through the contractor, so that was good. It was well done, seamless. All the work is looks to be very good, and very happy about that program. Also, the surface treatment tender is completed now, and same thing. Great contractors this year, and everything went very smoothly. A couple other ones, we're still waiting for the crushed gravel. The tender was awarded. They're a little bit late on this thing. I don't know. I guess just being such a busy season, not something I'm super worried about as the gravel is. You know, you don't have to worry about cold weather or anything that to apply it. So working through that. Sidewalk plow, still our delivery date is December. So we still have the old unit to get us through till the new one comes. So hopefully that can stay on schedule. And the C&D grinding at the waste site was awarded. They should be, I haven't heard confirmation when they're going to start, but usually it begins anytime now. And then throughout the parks, we've got all the cleanup from the summer, picking up all the docks and all that. And then we did the rafts and the docks. The wharfs will wait till after Thanksgiving with the picking benches and garbage cans just until the weather turns. So it's nice to have some of that stuff out for people until the weather really gets bad. And then other than that, Carl, I think everything is pretty straightforward. So if there's any questions, I'll take them.
Thank you very much, Mike. I think this is just information for us. Is there anybody in council would like to discuss any matter here?
Yes.
Yes, to you, Ernie, please.
Yes, if I may, a question to Mike. Do you have a list of the roads to be done? I know for the brushing. I know every year you keep tallies of what needs to be done and so on. And And I was just wondering if that list could be made perhaps at our next meeting, if that's possible.
Absolutely, yep. I'll have the
And
chats
also,
with,
and also dealing with the shouldering, if that could be done, Mike, that would be much appreciated.
absolutely.
Thank you kindly.
Thank you. Any further discussion then?
Through the
Yes,
chair,
Sue. Yeah.
just clarification from Councillor Poplinski's question. Are you asking for what is upcoming in 2023 or just like to see the roads that have been completed, just for clarity?
You know, I'd like to, the ones that haven't completed, obviously there's a record of it.
Okay.
The ones we intend to do this year, and I know it's only so many years they try and get back, whether it's 4 years or 5 years, to try and get all the roads done. Just want to make sure, because we have in the past, if we've had an issue with not being able to do it, then we have to think about it at budget and so on. So if that is information that's available, and then perhaps it could be made available for me to look at it and others that may want to see it as well. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarity.
Thank you. That pretty well finishes the reports up here in my end of the table. There's no correspondence or further information, and there's any unfinished business. I see none, I don't think. So I'll pass this back over to you, Mayor Love. Thank you very much, Mike.
Okay, thank you, Chair Bromwich. Our next committee is Operations, Water, Wastewater, and Facilities, and I'm turning it over to Chair Schulist.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, we have a, under Mules of Reports, we have a document here, Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks dating September 12, 2022. Now, I noticed that on this document, Suzanne, your name, but is Kaylee or Ashley going to speak on? I see Kaylee right at this moment. Do you want to take care of this?
Yeah, for sure. I can totally do that.
Okay, thank you.
Just touching on the highlights from this inspection that was received on September 12th. Corinne with the Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks was on site at the water plant in July. This was a focused inspection. They do it annually every year. You'll notice on this report, the format's changed from a couple of years ago. The non-compliance and non-conformance items are now detailed at the start of this report. If you guys have scrolled down onto page, there we go, page 5. In this section, there was no items reported. Generally on our inspection reports, there is a percentage rating out of 100. With the new reporting system that the ministry is using, that percentage, that's a quantitative calculation on how we're doing based on the ministry's regulations and standards, is not available for another month or two based on how it's generated. So I will forward that your way when we receive it. Though based on not having any recommendations.
Yes, I have to say interfere a little bit. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to say that the recording has stopped, so I'd like just to
yes, we need to have the recording back on. Timeout?
Yes.
Okay, so it said it made Mark host again. Lucky Mark.
I got out of it last time, so we'll try again.
Just keep your eye to Gwen coming back in the meeting. I wonder if he could pass host to you, Sue.
Oh,
Yeah, we can try that. The co-host didn't work this morning, so let's just do, yeah, if you can make me host, then I can record on my system.
how do I make you host?
If you just go on the bottom on participants.
Yep.
And find my name.
Okay.
And under more, you should be able to make me host.
Okay. There you go.
Okay, I'd like to
recording right
confirm.
now?
Yes, I'm confirming that the recording is back on.
Sue, could we confirm with Gwen that we're still live streaming?
I've got a text out to her there.
Yeah.
We are live streaming. You can continue.
Great, thank you.
Okay, sorry about that, Katie, for interrupting, but recording of these meetings are most important. And so if you could continue.
So getting back into things, I'm not sure what was last recorded, so I'll just repeat myself with inspection rating record. That's a quantitative measurement on how we're doing with acts and regulations in the ministry. It's out of 100%. With a change in their IT systems, we have not received that quantitative measurement yet, and I will forward it your way once we receive it. Based on not having any recommendations or non-compliances, I'm expecting to get 100%. So that's always nice to receive. Aqua's best practice is to receive above 95%. So that's what we aim for as a ministry anyway, as your operating authority, but always going above and beyond. Reviewing this report, everything is pretty much just a list of what she reviewed, documents on site, including our drinking water works permit, permit to take water, municipal drinking water license. The only item that she had noted is based on the population of Barry's Bay. We're required to take 9 samples monthly. And I believe it was a holiday that had messed up our schedule. So in August of this or last year, there was only 8 samples collected rather than 9. Now we didn't receive a non-compliance for that, but staff was made aware that 9 samples are required on a monthly basis, and we'll be monitoring that going forward. I don't have anything else that stood out to me in this inspection to discuss with you guys, but if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Okay, Katie, great report, and I think a great inspection. I noticed that that's kind of your guideline, what you follow, and it seems like you've done that, and that's keeping our system safe. Thank you very, very much. Any questions from council? I don't see any. Listen, it's great report here. I know that it is here accepted as information. We don't. I think maybe we should approve this, right? Somehow by a motion. Suzanne?
We can accept it as a recommendation if you'd like. We generally just accept the report, but if you'd like a mover and seconder, would be that the September operations update report is accepted as information. Sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Apologies. It would be that the Barry's Bay Drinking Water System 2021-2022 inspection report is accepted as information. I would need a mover.
Okay, I'll move that, and Councillor Brumwich will second it. And any other further discussions on this matter? Seeing none, all in favor?
All in favor.
Okay, that is carried. Okay, the next one here is under correspondence and information. And I guess, Kaylee, you're going to speak on this matter too. It's a lot to do with supply chain and so on.
Certainly. This information sheet is sent out by corporate to all of our clients, keeping you guys in the loop with, of course, concerns that come up with supply chain issues, given what's going on in Ukraine and how the COVID-19 pandemic had affected some of our suppliers. Locally, we weren't really impacted. Our disinfection products with Brentag still arrived on time without interruption. We did experience some delays with our soda ash, and that's used at both of your facilities for pH control. However, we weren't at risk of running out with the delays. And something that's really great about the Eastern region in Aqua is even though within the Madawaska cluster, Barry's Bay is the only facility that uses soda ash, we can reach out to our partners in the Laurentian View cluster or the Mississippi cluster, and we're able to borrow product from them and cost transfer within our corporation. So something to put you guys' minds at ease based on that delay. This information sheet also talks about fleet and fuel and insurance interruptions, and that wasn't anything that we had experienced. So there are some more bulletins explaining the risk management procedure that they're going through to try to get ahead of these in the future. But locally, we weren't really affected, which is really great.
Okay, very good, very good. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, you know, working together with other municipalities, if we run short of something, you know, and again, it can go vice versa, right? We can also help them in that. So I see Mayor Love's hand up.
Thank you, Chair. Kaylee, so basically the impact we might see is in our cost plus component, in our chemical costs and those sorts of things. So council should be aware that some of the costs that we normally anticipate coming in, breaking even, we may have a cost overrun due to these factors. Is that the idea?
Yes, that's also touched on in this information portion as well. That's something Ashley that would be able to speak on a little more in depth as he does our budgeting, but I can certainly bring it to his attention, and if there's any questions, I can direct that to him.
Okay, no, it wasn't a question, just for council to be aware that we may see some higher costs in our chemicals, particularly. I'm very, very glad though that Aqua has ways and means of ensuring that the supply is there when we need it. So I'm sure it's very challenging in these times with the supply chain issues. So thank you for the job you're doing, and we'll just need to be mindful. The next council will need to be mindful come budget time because things are going to cost more. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Very good point, Mayor Love. Any other questions from council? Not seeing any. Thank you very much, Kaylee, for bringing this to us. All positive. Much appreciated, and also mentioned to Ashley for doing a great job for keeping the water system safe in that. I see Suzanne's hand is up.
Yes, I was just asking if possibly, Kaylee, you may not have an update for me, but if you can ask Mr. Pilgrim to provide a status for me if you don't. There had been at the last meeting, we did approve carbon filters, and there were carbon filters that were changed because we had received a few complaints about an increased intensity of the smell at the wastewater plant. And I know that he had been communicating with a ratepayer about that, and I'm not sure if that has resolved the issue, and or if you're aware if there's still some ongoing issue at the wastewater plant.
The last update I received was that maintenance had occurred on the aeration system as well to encourage the sludge on site to stop from going septic and producing the smell. I can look into the carbon filters and have him reach out to you guys as well, but we haven't received any complaints lately.
Okay, thank you. If you just wanted to follow up with Ashley, just in the event, that would be great. And I did see communication going back to the ratepayer. Just wanted to make sure that that had been resolved. Thank you.
Yes, I feel it's also important. So thank you very much for the report and everything else. And I think I'm finished here. I don't see any unfinished business. Madam CEO, there's nothing under anything else that added to it. So my portion is done. To you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Chair Schulist, and thank you, Kaylee. We can you can stay if you'd like, but if you want to get on with your day, that's fine. Thank you for being here.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right, our next committee is Fire and Protection and Emergency Management, and I'm turning it over to Chair Poplinski, and we'll do the best we can, Chair, considering you're there, but you're just for us, you're just a voice, and I'm not sure if you can see all of us, but hopefully you can, but I'm turning it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor Love, and I see our Chief Quad has joined us. And so we've got item 9 on the agenda, and it's the Fire Protection and Emergency Management. And I'm just wondering, Chief Quad, if you could read your report, and then we'll deal with the activities, if that's okay. So you have the floor.
Okay, thanks, Chair Poplinski. The first will be a recommendation that I'll read out later on for the purchase of the struts, airbags, and a combi tool. I'll go into greater detail later on the report. I'll go through the report first, if that's okay, Chair Poplinski.
Please continue.
Okay, first things, maintenance and repairs for the fire halls and for the fire department. The South Hall Rescue has been safetied for 2022. No issues with that. The shingles have been replaced on the tanker bay in the South Hall. It came in under budget by about $1,500, which was a good thing. The new LED lighting for the interior of the South Hall has been completed. It came in right on budget, but that's all been completed. So those two capital projects have been done within budget. Training for the North and South Halls hitting about an 80% participation rate for both halls at every night. So it's going along well. We've improved quite a bit over the last year and a half. Things are going along real well. The new firefighters are getting up to snuff fairly quickly, which will help meet our regulations for certification that's coming in the near future, but they're doing real well that way. I attended a assistant fire marshal's office course online for a course, which is now required for all assistant fire marshals, which is usually an officer in a fire department, who gives us delegations to enter property without a warrant. If there's a immediate threat to life, it gives our authority or powers. So I've completed it right now. It had to be done for the 1st of January for myself. I have till next March for any other fire captains that will require, or deputies. So that'll be coming up in the near future. It doesn't cost us anything other than that time to have it completed. Fire inspections been completed at George Vanier Catholic School, the Valley Manor, Our Lady Seat of Wisdom, and they passed no problems. Fire drills have been attended at the Sherwood School which is an annual thing I have to do, spring and fall. Fire plans have been handed in from George Vanier School and Madawaska Valley District High School and Sherwood Public School, which is an annual thing. They passed no problem. Fire stats, we're heading for a record year of fatalities this year in Ontario. For some reason, people don't seem to understand how important it is for fire alarms to be installed. So with the fire marshal's office, they're pushing a campaign to get people like an education to understand how important it is to have smoking smoke alarms and an escape route to get out. So they've also come up with a video. It's called Cause for Alarm. It's on the Ontario Fire Marshal's website and Twitter page. It's not for the faint of heart. It is quite realistic. I also put out a press release to local media explaining the stats and importance for working smoke alarms in every house. Having a smoke alarm in your house without a battery in it isn't going to do any good for you. So we are going to start inspection in the house, hopefully late October, doing a smoke alarm checks in different places if everything works out. The fire call breakdown for up to September 28th is attached. We're up to 69 calls this year, which is on our average. We had a bit of a rip earlier on with a few wildfires, but that's all calmed down. We're having any major structure fires this year so far, which is really fortunate. That goes beyond that for firefighters being educating the public on basic maintenance for like flues, stowaway maintenance, and everything else. The firefighters really work hard with the public. At Bay Day, CO Blitz, and other Canada Day, educating people, and the public's really seem to work well with us. So we're very fortunate that way. And the last thing that came down is the education equipment. Like I said, I mentioned at the last meeting with the Fire Marshal's advisory came to do our audit, training and equipment. It came up that they suggested we get the following piece of equipment, which was the airbags and the struts for the South Hall, and a combi tool for the North Hall for extrication to put us in the proper spot for one of our core services. That's the end of the fire protection report until we start off with the recommendation for the JAWS and our discussion if there's any discussion required.
If I may, Chief, if you could, I'm just going to check with council and see if there are any questions or comments on the report so far before we get into the statistics. I don't see any hands up. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Mayor Love, would you continue?
Thank you, Chair. I'm a little concerned that we did not budget the 32,000 for the extrication equipment this year. Do we need it before next year? I would hope that next year's budget would be when we could do this, because as we draw down reserves, it's a little bit challenging if you're also not planning to ensure that you're going to be building them back up.
This stuff should be in place because right now we can't stabilize the vehicle or lift the vehicle with the equipment we got. And like they said, we're almost pretty much 2 different fire stations because we're over 18 kilometers between each station. That was a recommendation by the fire marshal. That's why it wasn't budgeted. I was trying to watch what we were doing. Now on the building reserves back up with the donations we got this year, and we'll upgrade our SCBA's for what we did for a couple $1,000s. We don't have any major purchase until about 2032, which would be start replacing the SCBA's in 2032 and 2035. So that gives us an extra 10 years to build up the reserves to beat that without making a major spike in taxpayers' rates throughout the year. That's what I'm saying. That's why I took into account also before I brought forward this recommendation. It was not normally something what I'd normally do, especially this late in the year. It was just because the recommendation was there and advised by the fire marshal for liability possibly, like, and not be able to possibly complete all this. And I took that into account, like the 10 years extra lifespan that we have for SCBA's now. So that's why I took into all those things into consideration before I even recommended this. I do understand it's a big drawdown in reserves, but to also keep everything balanced over the long term, we should be able to have an asset management from here on until eternity if we keep going the way we're going then.
Yes, Mayor Love, please continue.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to thank the chief for that explanation. It is rare that a council would make such an additional, purchase at this late stage in a term and in a budget year when something hasn't been budgeted for. That's not something we normally do. So I just wanted to ensure that the public was aware that there are very strong reasons for making this purchase at this point in time, that this is something that as the changes with firefighter certification are occurring, that this is something that we need to do to ensure we have a full complement of equipment to provide extrication services. So thank you for the explanation. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mayor Love. Is there anyone else with a comment or question? Don't see any, and I think, Chief, thank you for the explanation. I think it certainly gives us some reason to look at this, and certainly if there's a risk to the public, and we do have the money in reserve, I agree we should then deal with it, as these changes are happening very fast, and we're trying to keep up with it. So that would be my position on it, but I'm certainly like to hear back from other council members. Yes, Councillor Wilmer.
No, I agree completely with what's being said. I think it is unusual, as the mayor pointed out, to be spending this sort of money out of reserves right at the end of our term. But in this case, I think you've given a very good explanation, Chief, that it is absolutely necessary, and we could put ourselves in a liable position if we don't get this this equipment. So I'm fully supportive of this, and I think, though, we do have to keep in mind that we did take this from the reserves, and in future years coming up, we need to build that reserve back up again.
Thank you, Councillor. Would there be any other questions before we move on to the statistics? Don't see any hands up. So, Chief, if you'd like to continue. Oh, I'm sorry. I see the CAO.
Would you like me to read the recommendation?
Yes, so would you do so, please?
That council accept the quote from AJ Stone to purchase struts, airbags, and a combi tool for a total price of $32,018.55, and that the funds are withdrawn from the Fire Equipment Reserve 015-0404-799999.
Thank you. And we need a motion on that. I see Mayor Love with her hand up. You're making the motion, Mayor Love? Okay, and second by Councillor Schulist. Any further comments? I don't see any. All in favor? Motion's granted. Can we proceed now, Chief, with the statistics?
Okay, We got a fire call breakdown. Like I said earlier, we had 69 calls. We had 3 alarms in September. 1 wildfire, which is a small grass fire. Somebody started by accidentally putting their ashes out from their stove. And we had 1 person burning garbage, which is, they didn't realize we were supposed to have a burn barrel. So that was giving a warning to those. But other than that, it was a pretty decent month. The fire alarms were accidental because of the age of them. They didn't realize they had to be replaced because of the dust and that. So they've been fixed. So that issue's been rectified. So all's been good. It's been a pretty good month for us. Like I said, overall, the public's been really good with the public education. So same with the wildfires. Ever this year, been really good with the public. Last few years over COVID, the pandemic, people have been taking fire safety very well in this township. And I want to thank everybody because they've been really assisting us. So everyone's been great for us so far for the last 2 or 3 years, really improved. And that's the end of the fire report. Unless you have any questions, I can go to the bylaw if you prefer.
Thank you, Chief. Are there any questions or comments from council members? Don't see any hands up. So if you'd like to proceed then with your next report.
Okay, the next report's bylaw activities. The first one's animal control. Bolshire Valley has extended the operation of the pound facility for another 6 months. It'll remain open until at least April 30th. The capital operating costs, they're going to review that in 2023 in January in their budget. Where current rate's going to stay the same as it is till at least April. So up till then, we'll have a 6-month reprieve to come up with a game plan if they do decide to close it or if they decide to keep it open. So that was good news because we would have been served without a pound at the moment. And that comes to animal control issues. Over the last month, we've had 6 animal complaints, which is pretty much all I've had since I pretty much started here. I don't know what's going on the last month. We've had 2 dogs running at large called in from the OPP. When I investigated, couldn't find either dog, but we did investigate them. 1 dog was found on the main street in Barry's Bay. It was taken to the pound because we couldn't find the owner within a reasonable amount of time. So we did use the pound once this year. We've had 1 excessive dog complaint. This has been an ongoing dispute between new neighbors back and forth over the last year and a half. We've been up there numerous times. So the owner was given a warning again to keep the dog, try and keep it from barking. We do understand the issues there, but we think we solved that one. We just had one last week. A dog bit a person that was reported to us by the Redford County Health Unit. The owner has been charged for allowing a dog to trespass and bite somebody. So that the dog's been put in quarantine for 14 days by the Redford County Health Unit. And it seems to be a lot of these investigations, we do find the dogs are running into these people. They're not buying a dog tag. A dog tag is for a lifetime dog tag in Madawaska Valley. It's worth $25. It's good for the life of the dog. And it needs a replacement. It's $5. If we're caught, we could possibly charge a $200 provincial offenses ticket. If you're caught without that, we've been issuing warnings at the moment. They just reminded the public it's a $25 fee for life of the dog. And I said, we don't want to issue tickets, but if we keep finding people like that, we may have to step up enforcement. Right now, people are complying. We asked them to come in, they are doing that, but that's sort of what's going on at the moment. We've gotten numerous complaints about cats, wounded animals laid in the bush, dead animals along county roads, which is in our jurisdiction, MPO roads, that doesn't belong to us. I know the Public Works does pick up an animal struck on the road, a deer or whatever, they will pick up our Public Works to look after it. But it's on County Road 62 or 66 or whatever it is, that runs out Siberia Road, those are county roads, and Highway 60 runs through on either side of Barry's Bay. That's a King's Highway, that's an MTO call, not the municipality. You know, we get them. And we don't deal with wounded animals if the dog's injured, or we don't deal with cats. What else we've had? Rabbits, you name it, we've had calls for that. Okay. We only, our animal control bylaw only deals with dogs. That's a reminder to the public. Over the last month, we've also had problems with 3 places where illegal dumping started again. So we're starting to put up cameras to try and catch who's doing this in various places throughout the township, because the amount of garbage they're dumping into these 3 locations is absolutely ridiculous. They're dumping like 4 or 5 bags at a time, but we are now monitoring that to try and catch who's doing that, and we will deal with them when we do catch up with them. And then you can see the calls for service report. To date, 61 are in progress. We've got 113 completed. So we're just shy of 200 complaints since May this year. We started with the CGIS. And so the compliance officer has been quite busy with the complaints. He's following up a lot of complaints. with the trailers, the bunkies, the sea containers. So it's been quite busy for him. He's been a big asset to the township and the building department, myself, because there's no way I'll be able to keep up with that, nor with the building inspector. So he has really done well and proven himself. And he's been showing his necessaries to this point and continues. So that's the end of the report, unless council has any questions at the moment.
Thank you, Chief. Would council members have any questions or comments? It's quite the CGIS is certainly a great way of keeping track, and I think it's going to be very beneficial as we're moving into the new year, dealing with many of the issues that you're currently dealing with. So if there are no questions, then
Sorry, we can't hear you, Councillor Pawlinski. You just faded off there.
it's a new technology here, and I forget to keep my hand on the button. And there's probably an issue. Maybe am I too loud at times? It's just my arm is only so long, and I have to be within arm's length of the mic here. So it's we've got some growing pains here, but I think our technician is doing a fantastic job, and we'll continue. Thank you.
Okay, Chair Pawlinski, have you completed your section then?
Yes, I don't see any correspondence. And anything under unfinished business?
No. Okay, the CAO says no.
Okay, so we're good to go. Thank you. And I'm going to pass the gavel back to you, Madam.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Our next committee is Recreation and Community Development, and I'm turning it over to Chair Wilmer.
Thank you, Mayor Love. We have two items on the agenda today. The first one is a update from Hannah. And Hannah, I'll let you go through your update, please.
For sure, yeah. So it's a bit of a long one. I've got a bunch of stuff I'm wrapping up here. So first of all, the Visitor Center wrap up. We had a great tourist season this year. We were open weekends in June and then daily throughout the summer. Normally we are open weekends until Thanksgiving, but with the ongoing construction, we chose not to. We also had some staffing issues to find some students to work. But they do need to take the ramp off and close up the doors. So we just decided to let them get their work done. I have a project update a bit later on this Saturday. So yeah, we did. I also mentioned an incident we had at the railway station there with a member of the public harassing a student employee. But we did do our best to mitigate that and have the students feel safe at work. So it is something that I might consider next year, is to have 2 students at the visitor center at all times, because they were working alone long hours fairly often. So that's my wrap up. I don't know if you want any questions about the visitor center section there.
Any questions on the visitor center? Okay,
No.
Perfect.
Continue on, Hannah.
Great. So the Mission House Museum, we continue to work to get things back where they belong. We were able to make a connection with the Algonquins of Ontario to repatriate some items that had been housed in the museum. Scraping tools, arrowheads, pieces of pottery, all have been found around Combermere. So some representatives from that group joined myself and David Kelly in September, and we had a great meeting. They took the items back, and we're going to continue to connect with them. And I know they had a great time chatting with David, so I'm sure they'll chat with him in the future as well. The Pebble Mosaic has been installed, and that project is complete. We had township representatives, members of provincial parliament, lots of members of the public and various organizations join us there on a chilly night, but it looks beautiful, and we are looking at getting a path just to connect the mosaic to the existing pathwork. We did receive some funding from the group to kind of mitigate our costs there. So there's no cost to the township to get that done. I also included the swim program financial data for the year. So I have the kind of breakdown attached there. We had a great year. We had higher revenue this year with an increase of kids joining us to swim. We are going to have to get a bit creative in the future for our swim instructors. I'm sure you've seen in the news, there's a nationwide shortage of swim instructors. across the country. I mean, big cities are canceling programs, all that kind of stuff. We have a lot of great kids that work with us each year, so we will do our best to try to retain them. So that's something I'm going to be looking at probably in early 2023. I'll come up with some solutions or potential solutions to hopefully be able to continue our swim program, because we need those kids back to be able to do so. And just a quick summary of the projects we have ongoing. The ice pad at the arena is going great. The concrete pour is complete. The boards, I believe they're wrapping up today, and the glass will be coming soon. And then also the flooring kind of on the outside. So we're motoring along for the first week of November to wrap up the project. The siding as well, as you've driven by, you've seen how great it looks. So that's coming to a close in the next week or so as well. The digital sign, so it was initially to be installed on September 30th, and it will be installed instead. Next week is our installation start, with the sign completely installed by the end of the month. Unfortunately, with the exception of the screens, so there has been a huge delay in production and shipping of the screens. So the screens will be forthcoming in November, and I've been told that by Christmas we will have those screens up there, but the sign itself will be up by the end of the month. We'll just missing that key component. And finally there, the concept plan, we do have a draft design that was submitted for feedback, and then we've kind of given some feedback back. So a public presentation will be forthcoming, and it'll be probably presented to the new council, because that won't be until November. Other than that, we've got a couple upcoming events. So we have a Halloween event that we're working on with the Berries Bay Recreation Committee and the Station Keepers. We are doing a grand reopening of the PJY with the ice pad, with a ribbon cutting, some demonstrations from our local groups, as well as a free public skate. And then finally, we are planning to have the township Christmas party back. It's scheduled for December 17th, and I'm hoping by the end of the week to be able to make some announcements about ticket sales. And that's it.
All right, thanks, Hannah. It's a very positive report. So much is moving along, and it's nice to see both the train station and the arena coming along. Your point about the swim program and the need to try to find creative ways to retain staff. We're really glad to see that you're on that early. That's a problem everywhere. And I know many smaller municipalities in particular weren't even able to offer swim programs this summer. So I'm glad to see you're on it and looking for creative solutions. Does anyone else have any questions on Hannah's report?
Yes, Mr. Chair, if I could ask a brief question here.
Yes, go ahead, Councillor.
And it's related to the Christmas party. It's nice to see that things have settled down and we're able to have something again. Historically, it was always one which was put out by volunteers. Is that the expectation this year again, Hannah?
So it's predominantly a staff event. So I've been kind of organizing everything together. This is, of course, my first year, or my first Christmas party, I guess. I'm rounding out a year. So I'm not sure how it was run in the past, but I've been kind of working to get a caterer booked as well as a band. I've ordered the tickets, and so it's kind of been a more staff-oriented project, I guess, this year. By the way, we can see you, Ernie, which is good.
So that being said, then, there's an expectation that your revenues are going to at least equal the cost of putting this on?
Absolutely, yeah. So this is a revenue neutral event. So the quotes I've gotten for the band and the caterer, I've purchased the tickets already. So everything I'm going back to hoping to kind of sell out the event, and then we should be revenue neutral or very, very close to it. But I don't expect.
Thank you so much.
Money, yeah.
All right, if there's no other questions, the report was just for information. We'll move on to the second item, which is a request for donation request from St. Francis Valley Healthcare Foundation for their annual Trees of Light fundraising event. And we do have a recommendation. They're basically just asking for assistance, the use of the railway station, staff donation of a tree, and staff assistance in clearing snow if necessary. And we also do have $800 included in the budget for this item. So Sue, is there anything else that you want to add to that?
No, I can read the recommendation if you'd like.
Okay.
That council approved the donation request for staff time and assistance, as well as use of a township-owned facility for their annual Tree of Lights fundraising event.
Okay, and I'll move that. Could I get a second?
I support it.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Poplinski. All those in favor?
Favor.
That's carried. All right, and that concludes the recreation portion of today's meeting. So I'll turn the chair back over to Mayor Love.
Okay, thank you, Chair Wilmer. Councillor Poplinski, just so you know, we can actually see you now. You're appearing on Zoom, so if you raise your hand, I should be able to see it. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you.
All right. So
I promise to behave.
just be mindful, we can see you. All right, we'll move on to planning matters and statutory meeting under the Planning Act. We have under municipal reports, we have planning activity for September. And Luke is with us. Now, Council, we did also receive an additional email from Luke in regards to some additional fees he's proposing. So I'll turn it over to you, Luke, to address the planning activity and the email.
Thank you very much. This is just a short update for some of the activities that has occurred over the last month, and I'll just run through it quickly for council. I continue to work through the shoreline road allowance applications, and it's kind of a forensic exercise to understand in each case what's happening and some of the roadblocks that may be affecting some files. And at the same time, moving forward with the applicants on the recent applications that we have received as of recently. As for severances, I just gave a little update, and what I would like to do moving forward is include the attached notices from the county to the council and committee package so the council can see the severances as they periodically come in, just for information in case there's any questions related to the new lots. There may not be updates every month, but I was just I attached the two most recent applications for severances to this report. I continue to work with people in the community and receive communications and emails and help direct development and growth within the township. We have two zoning amendments that are being processed currently, and one of them is attached here too, and it'll be discussed at a public meeting. And likewise, I'll bring forward a bylaw for passing at the October council meeting. I just, speaking with the chief building official, I just thought I would throw in some information about his monthly chapter meetings. They have a great group that they meet with regularly and discuss interesting topics and keep each other informed. So I thought I would include that into this memo. And I guess and then following that is a proposed updated to the fees and charges bylaw. And I think for the most part, if I can speak to that, that's on the third page of my memo. Just some clarifications I think were in order. There was, I think for the most part, I did a red line and strike through here, and it maybe looks a little bit messy, but I wanted to show council the changes. What I think I'm doing is I'm just simplifying the fees and charges to give clarity for me as well as the applicant. Some line items, I wasn't exactly sure what it meant. So I thought I would just collapse a few things such as the minor variances. For example, previously there was 3 line items related to the fees, and it wasn't overly clear to me what each one was speaking to. So I thought I would update that to an $800 charge, for example, which I believe to be a fair rate for the variances. Some things I've reduced slightly, such as the site plan agreements, and some other charges I've just simplified, and also reference to county charges and their fees and charges I've removed. So I'm just hoping that moving forward, this will be a little more of a straightforward fees and charges. And that's all. Oh, and sorry, Mayor Love, and you referenced the email that I sent. There was 2 other charges I would like to be included. There's zoning bylaw amendment related activities. One is for temporary use, and from time to time, people would like a temporary use zoning on their property. So I proposed a $250 charge for that, which is otherwise our zoning bylaw amendment fee, which is what it was, is $1,500, but I'm proposing a temporary use charge at a low $250 so that the property owners can be on their way with at a reasonable cost for temporary use. And likewise, the removing of a holding symbol. It was contained in another bylaw, and I'm pulling all the planning fees into this one bylaw for simplicity, and I reduced the fee somewhat as well because I thought it was justified.
Okay, great. Thank you. Are there any questions for Luke on, let's just go back with the planning fees. Any questions with the changes to the planning fees that are proposed? Okay, so okay, council, when we get to the bylaw, I will be saying as amended, and we will include the temporary use zoning and the lifting of a holding symbol. Those two additional fees will be included in the amended bylaw further on in our meeting. Any questions on any of the planning activities? Okay, I'm not seeing any questions on that report. All right. Gee, that was easy, Luke. You're getting off easy this one. We don't have any correspondence and information, but on outstanding matters, I do believe you wanted to speak to King's Landing.
Yeah, thank you. So I believe it was late last week where a notice of application for a plan of subdivision was issued. So this is for the King's Landing proposed plan of subdivision. This is off Siberia Road and Trader Lane. I think this application has been in the works for some time now, but it's moving forward at this point with a formal application, and we will head to a public meeting, which is scheduled for 2:00 on the afternoon of October 13th. And for council's information, the proposal as it stands right now is it's a 7.5 hectare property, approximately 20 acres. And for 6 single detached dwellings, 28 semi-detached dwellings, that's a side-by-side, and also either an apartment building or stacked townhouses for a total of either 42 or 44 units. So the total number of dwelling units on this proposal is in the range from 76 to 78 on this site. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. And that's directly adjacent to our settlement area. Is it included in the settlement area, Luke?
No, this is on the periphery of the settlement area.
Okay, so it's directly adjacent and is serviceable through water and wastewater.
Yeah, and that's one of the big ticket items with this proposal is that the developer for this site will be having to install a sewage pumping station, which is a costly fixture, but they're well aware of that.
Okay, any questions from council on that? I guess you're going to get an opportunity to
Very good news.
Yeah, it is great news, and you're going to get an opportunity to see that on that date, and we'll have that discussion then. So thank you, Luke. Thank you for reminding us of that upcoming item. And that pretty much completes planning. If there's no other outstanding matters, we'll move to finance and administration. Under municipal reports, we have corporate policy review, F-02, conventions and seminars. And this report is from our treasurer, Amanda. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning, everybody. So previously I had been tasked with looking at the corporate policy F-02 for conventions and seminars, particularly where it deals with meals, gratuities, and incidental expenses. So I apologize, I don't believe I uploaded a copy of that policy. So what we're dealing with here is section 3D, which states, while attending conferences, conventions, seminars, workshops, or business meetings, the township reimburses actual expenses supported by receipts. However, employees should note that the allowance shall be $10 for breakfast, $15 for lunch, $20 for dinner, and $50 for sundries. And we are well aware that $10 for breakfast doesn't get you very far. You might get a bottle of water when you're at certain locations. Same with $15 for lunch or $20 for dinner. So I did reach out to all the municipalities within Renfrew County to see what their bylaws were, so that we have a fair assessment of what everyone's dealing with, right? So within my report, I've outlined where everybody is, how they fall on the spectrum of reimbursing expenses. So many of them fall within that $100 range total overall. A lot of them, of municipalities, just have their policy to deal with cost. That's it. It's not standardized of what it is for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or sundries. And then some do have it specified. So looking at the situation, I am asking for council to reconsider changing that section 3D within the policy to state that so breakfast be reassessed to $25, lunch $25, $35 for supper, and $10 for sundries for overnight stays, and no receipts required. Also, I would like to state reimbursement for actual meal and sundry expenses supported by receipts will be approved. So essentially, we're sticking within that $95 commitment. However, if you do go with outside of the boundaries where you're going to a conference at a resort where the costs are inflated, we'll give you the $95, but if you go above that, we'll reimburse you for that extra based on your actual receipts. But it also allows us that if you're, you have to travel for a seminar in, Arnprior, you still have that flexibility to get your breakfast for $25 while you're traveling. So it gives us, it sort of puts us in an area that allows it to be managed, but gives us the flexibility to reimburse for those one-off costs where the convention or the training or whatever it is might be in downtown Toronto where it's super expensive. Or I was just at the Blue Mountains and it's ridiculous. We had to drive offsite into Collingwood because it was crazy for just a lunch. And that would not have covered any of it. So I would like to have those two options. And so I'll just leave this up to council for discussion if you think we should go different or otherwise.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. I know, having been at conferences in downtown Toronto and being very mindful of the cost, when you're out to dinner with other municipal representatives and you're looking on the menu for, okay, what can I get for the least amount of money? Absolutely the least, and you're still coming up with $70 for some sort of pasta dish, and that's it. So it really is unrealistic to expect anyone to get a meal in a city like that. Even breakfast, it's impossible. And so having the option to provide receipts, we all are very mindful of the taxpayer's dollar when we are traveling, and certainly there are never any alcohol expenses, should there be any, that are reimbursed. But we do hope that you're not going to end up out of pocket for a meal when you've done your best to be frugal. So I think you've provided us with a really good recommendation that works for both council and staff based on a broad variety of possible places that you're going and the situations that you'll face. Sue, you have your hand up.
I just wanted to clarify as well, and the treasurer can concur or clarify. If staff or council go to a conference where meals are included, so most of them will say either breakfast or supper, or breakfast, lunch, and supper are included, the staff does not get that allotment. We take that into consideration as well.
Absolutely. But quite often, especially with multiple day conferences, unless you can live off a couple of a couple of appetizers. That's about all you get come dinner time.
Mhm.
So we do our best to keep costs down, but when you're faced with having to have dinner out in Ottawa or Toronto, it is very challenging to keep it within the restrictive budget that we had. So definitely this, I think, is an improvement for flexibility. Council, any comments? Are we good with this? Councillor Wilmer.
No, I'm good with this. I think it better reflects on the actual cost of the meals. And I also do like the fact that Amanda has kept it in that $95 range, which we used to have anyway. So it really isn't an increase. It's just redistributing it in a more equitable and probably more efficient manner.
Mhm. Okay. Anything further? All right, so then can Amanda just bring this change forward to, I guess, our next meeting
Yes.
as a bylaw? Okay, so we'll have you do that. Are there any concerns from staff on this, or have staff been consulted? Sue? Amanda? Somebody?
Amanda can speak to it.
Okay, Amanda.
No, I did not consult with staff. So my apologies. However, I do feel that this does give a lot of flexibility so that we can deal with, either junior staff that has to go train all the way up to council members that have to go to the more bigger conferences in the downtown urban regions. So I
Okay,
feel this is a good one.
right, and Amanda, you see the receipts, and I'm sure if there were complaints about it, you would be hearing them. So
certainly, and we do look at the receipts. We do check the receipts to make sure that submissions are valid.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Sue.
I would like to read the recommendations so that we can bring forward as bylaw, and we do have a staff meeting once a week, and I can get Amanda to speak to the policy so staff knows it's coming forward as well.
Okay, that'd be great. Could you read the recommendation then?
That council and committee approve the proposed changes to corporate policy F02, conventions and seminars with respect to sections 3D, meals, gratuities, and incidental expenses, and request staff present a draft amended policy to the council meeting of October 18, 2022 for approval.
Okay, could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Wilmer, seconded by Councillor Bromwich. Any discussion on the recommendation? Seeing none, all those in favor? And
Favor.
that's carried, sorry. All right, our next we have policy clarification from September 20th, and Sue, I thank you for doing this.
Unmute.
I'm
yes,
looking for it.
I had told council that I would provide some of the answers. There were some questionable terminology in some of the policies, one of them in AO4 for the Ontario Human Rights Code. You were seeking clarification on what does undue hardship mean. So what I have included is the response from the County of Renfrew, because as I had stated, I had used the AO4 policy that had been updated in 2021 from the County of Renfrew as it reflected the requirements of what the insurance was wanting included in our policy. So I'm hoping that that answered that question as well. I did include for IT12 some of the deletions in the words that council had noted some areas they wanted not removed and or deleted some certain portions of the bylaw itself. Now I do apologize in in the actual policy, bylaw that I attached, policy I attached for approval with the bylaw. One of the paragraphs is not redlined, but I did want to note that it will be redlined if you approve the bylaw with amendment. And that is the one that stated, because it was repeated within the other paragraph, when a member has declared a conflict of interest, they must state in general their terms, their conflict. And then it was a paragraph prior to that. Sorry, I don't think I listed it here. Bring it up. Apologies, it won't let me minimize because I'm recording.
Hmm. Yeah, Sue, I have it in front of me.
I'm bringing it up under the other
Okay, you're
system
getting
here.
it. Okay.
No, apologies, it won't let me bring it up. If you would like to read it, Mary Love.
Okay, it was the Township of Madawaska Valley does not accept any responsibility for any verbal comments made during meetings by individual council members, staff, or members of the public, which may be inaccurate, incorrect, or defamatory, and does not warrant or represent the material or statements made during the live stream recording of meetings to be complete, reliable, accurate, or free from error. All decisions of council are passed by resolution.
That's correct. So most
That
of-
was the paragraph that should not have been in there.
That's correct.
And it is addressed in the next bullet point. So that would be what would be removed. And there I do believe Gwen did mention there would be some tidying up for consistency in language, so that instead of saying closed session at any point in the document, it'll say in camera. It'll be very specific.
Yeah, that's correct. So in my report, I noted definitions may be revised to ensure consistency between the procedural bylaw and IT 12.
Right.
And
So
therefore, I ask when you pass the bylaw that you say as amended, and staff and council will be provided that final draft, that final copy.
Okay. Any questions from council on that? Again, that is a bylaw we have further in our meeting, and as Sue mentioned, it will be as amended. All right, any other questions on the policy clarification for September 20th?
Yeah, yes, Mayor Love, if I could ask a question.
Go ahead, Councillor Poplinski.
Yes, regarding the clarification of the undue hardship, and I'm wondering in our job descriptions if we should sort of limit the amount of or perhaps have a look at them and see if there's some areas where we can sort of tidy them up so that we may limit the amount of conflict and issues that come about it. And it's there may be some vagueness, and of course, and then a lot of times that leads to uncertainty as to what exactly is being expected and so on. So I'm wondering if that is something that the council may want to look at, the staff.
Sue.
Just a clarity point, are you speaking of the job description or the employment contract?
Perhaps both should be looked at, and to see if there's some areas which are not really weird, you know, because this stuff is coming at us very fast and furiously, and you know, all of these things were done in the best interest of all, but sometimes there's things that we need to address as they come up, and I'm wondering whether that would be a good idea to have that looked at both situations.
Sue.
I'll consult with Greg at the County of Renfrew with that question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So just to ensure consistency with employment contracts, job descriptions, and this policy is what we're looking at. Okay. All right. Anything further on policy clarification from September 20th? As I did mention, thank you, Sue, for doing that, for finding a clarification on undue hardship, because different people may have different expectations, and I think we need to be very clear what that means. It is certainly a very challenging level it's a challenging thing to meet based on the definitions that we're seeing. So it's not something that a council should expect to be able to fall back on easily. Sue.
You also had identified at the last meeting that you recalled an ombudsman recommendation to record the closed meeting sessions. So I went through the ombudsman decision and added it to the report, and it was a January 20th, 2017 recommendation that I provided within my report.
Okay. Those recordings, again, are not available to the public.
No.
that it would be purely provided to the ombudsman for closed session investigation purposes,
correct.
correct?
Yes,
And internal use by staff to ensure that in-camera minutes are accurate.
that's correct.
Okay, I just want to be very clear about that. Does council have any concerns with that? Those were the two uses, that's it. Okay. All right, anything further? We're just receiving this as information then. We'll move on to CAO updates. And there is a recommendation with CAO updates. And I'll let you change the recommendation. I had
would
quite a
like to
chuckle.
clarify. Yes, I'd like to clarify that I made an error and I appointed Sheldon Keller instead of Sheldon Reike. So I didn't get any calls from Mayor Sheldon Keller that I had appointed him. I'll have to let him know of the almost appointment. But I am asking council to approve the CAO clerk recommendation to appoint Sheldon Reike, lawyer with Reike Law, barrister, solicitors, notaries public, as the recount officer for the Township of Madawaska Valley for the 2022 municipal elections. And just for council background, I was just asking that there is no cost to doing this. It's just a third-party oversight if there is there ever a recount. And it was just something that came out of some of my sessions that it's deemed as a best practice, as well as for accountability, transparency, to have somebody do that oversight. I had initially requested or inquired if our auditor would have the time or wish to be appointed, and they were unavailable to do so. Sheldon Reike had already volunteered or put his name forward to be the recount officer for KHR as well.
Okay, thank you.
Did you want me to go through the rest of my report?
Just on that point, I was really
Okay.
impressed that Mayor Keller was able to become a lawyer at the same time as running a business and being a mayor.
Yes.
So I was quite, actually, when I discussed this with Sue, I said, gee, there are two Sheldon Kellers in
Yes.
in
thank you
Renfrew
for picking
County.
up that. Yeah.
No, so I appreciate that we did catch that little one, but I thought it was cute.
Yeah.
All right, did you want to do that recommendation and then go through the rest of your report? Maybe
Sure.
because, all
That's
right,
why we
so
need a seconder.
yes, so Sue has read the recommendation. Could I get a mover to appoint Sheldon Reike? Moved by Councillor Bromwich, seconded by Councillor Schulis. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
All in favor.
And that's carried. Okay, Sue, then take us through the rest of your report.
So yes, I just more council information. The services agreement, had a meeting with the manager of planning and development, Renfrew County staff, the director of planning and development, and the manager of planning, and myself, just to discuss the planning services agreement that we signed on June 2022. The manager of planning and development is continuing to have discussions with the county as it pertains to being able to amend some of the services that we are presently utilizing through the county to reflect the fact that we now have a planner on staff. So the manager of planning and development will be bringing some updates forward as it pertains to that. Next, just an update, Canada Post, that I had sent a letter because we'd had two Canada Posts because we'd had quite a few complaints in the tens, like in the, over 20, 40 complaints that some ratepayers had received their tax bill late. And we were just wanting to know what the process had been. Did have discussions with the postmaster, and I feel confident that they have received our concerns and are addressing our concerns, and that future tax billings, the processing will be more efficient. And I've been reassured that the third-party mailouts of the mail-in ballots that were being sent in from DataFix will not be affected. And I think Gwen and the elections assistant, Michelle, have confirmed that the ballots are being brought in, mail-in ballots are being received, and I know we've received some at the office as well. Mm-hmm. So I just want to confirm that with council in case you've received some complaints from ratepayers that their tax bill was late. Affordable
Sue?
housing, yes.
Sorry, just in reference to that, those who receive their tax bill late, we're not charging interest for that an additional month. Is that correct?
The deputy treasurer is working with each case as they come in.
Okay. So if someone has just received their tax bill, just be aware to speak to the deputy treasurer.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And the other one was just an update on the affordable housing. I know that many of the council members and ratepayers attended a public forum at the Barry's Bay Legion on September 21st. Just to inform that there was one on September 27th in Pembroke that was very well attended as well. And the mandate of the group, the AHAOV, includes bringing people together to discuss the local needs. That group, which is hosting the forums in each of the municipality, are just an umbrella group. Each of the communities will be getting their own committee to bring forward some recommendations and what is relevant to their municipality, and sharing that information so that they work in sync with some of the information that is required and brought to them. The other update was just an election update, that a weekly report showing changes made during the week to the voters list is emailed to each candidate by the elections administrative assistant, and that is being received well. And that is all that I have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Sue on her update? Okay, I don't see any. I'm certainly glad you spoke with the Canada Post, and they're working to ensure that the problem will be resolved and there will be no issues with the election, since we rely very heavily on mail-in ballots. People also can drop their mail-in ballots off at the municipal office I believe in the drop box. Is that correct?
In the drop box, and we have Michelle Edmansky is there to assist if people have questions, they're not sure how to fill it in, they want to make sure, and they want to come in and put it in the ballot box themselves, then they just come between 9 and 3, and they can do that at the office as well. The drop box outside is available 24 hours a day.
Okay, great. So everyone does have an opportunity to vote. Let's get those mail-in ballots back and exercise our right. Okay, thank you, Sue. I guess if there's nothing further on that report, we'll move to correspondence and information. First, from St. Francis Valley Healthcare Foundation, dated September 23rd, 2022, regarding Catch the Ace raffle lottery. It's just a piece of information to let us know that they are going to be running that lottery again. Any discussion from council on that? Okay. Our next item is the resolution from the municipality of Brighton, dated September 21st, 2022, regarding streamlining governing legislation for physicians in Ontario. Does council wish to support this resolution? Councillor Wilmer.
No, I think we should support this. So I'll move that we do support it.
Okay, moved by Councillor Wilmer. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Bromwich. Is there any discussion from council? Seeing none, all those in favor?
All in favor.
That's carried. All right, our next item is a resolution from the Township of McGarry, dated September 13th, 2022, regarding powers of the Office of the Integrity Commissioner. Does council wish to support this resolution? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone wanting to support this at this time. All right, so we'll file that one. We don't believe we have any unfinished business for finance and admin. So this completes our council and committee portion of the meeting. We're moving into the regular council portion of the agenda. We have the confirmation of the minutes of the regular council meeting minutes for September 20th, 2022. The recommendation is that the regular council meeting minutes for September 20th, 2022 be approved as presented. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bromwich, seconded by Councillor Schulist. Any errors or omissions on these minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor?
All in favor.
That's carried. Next is the Committee of Adjustment meeting minutes for September 20th, 2022. The recommendation is that the Committee of Adjustment meeting minutes for September 20th, 2022 be approved as presented. Could I get a mover? Moved by Councillor Wilmer, seconded by Councillor Poplinski.
Yes.
Any errors or omissions on these minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor?
All in favor?
And that's carried. Any business arising from the minutes? Okay, I don't see any. We'll move then into bylaws. Bylaw 2022-83 regarding corporate policies and procedures, amendment number 17. The recommendation is that bylaw 2022-83 being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2014-90 with respect to the amendment of policy number A-04 and the addition of policies number IT-12 and IT-13 to the corporate policies and procedures for the Corporation of the Township of Madawaska Valley be given first and second reading this 4th day of October 2022 as amended. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bromwich, seconded by Councillor Schulist. Any discussion on the bylaw? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Favor?
And that's carried. The recommendation is that bylaw 2022-83 be given third and final reading this 4th day of October 2022 as amended. Could I get a mover?
So move.
Moved by Councillor Poplinski, seconded by Councillor Wilmer. Any final discussion on this bylaw?
None.
Seeing none, all those in favor?
Favor?
And that's carried. Our next bylaw is bylaw 2022-84 regarding being a bylaw to regulate traffic on highways in the Township of Madawaska Valley and to repeal bylaw number 2018-19. The recommendation is that bylaw 2022-84 being a bylaw to regulate traffic on highways in the Township of Madawaska Valley and to repeal bylaw number 2018-19 be given first and second reading this 4th day of October 2022. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bromwich, seconded by Councillor Poplinski. Any discussion on this bylaw? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Favor?
And that's carried. The recommendation is that bylaw 2022-84 be given third and final reading this 4th day of October 2022. Moved by Councillor Wilmer, seconded by Councillor Schulist. Any final discussion on the bylaw? Seeing none, all those in favor?
All in favor?
And that's carried. Final bylaw is bylaw 2022-85 regarding being a bylaw to establish a schedule of fees for the Corporation of the Township of Madawaska Valley. The recommendation is that bylaw 2022-85 being a bylaw to establish a schedule of fees for the Corporation of the Township of Madawaska Valley be given first and second reading this 4th day of October 2022 as amended. Moved by Councillor Bromwich, seconded by Councillor Wilmer. Any discussion on this bylaw?
None.
Seeing none, all those in favor?
Favor?
And that's carried. The recommendation is that bylaw 2022-85 be given third and final reading this 4th day of October 2022 as amended. Moved by
moved.
Councillor Poplinski, seconded by Councillor Schulist. Any final discussion on the bylaw?
None.
Seeing none, all those in favor?
Favor?
And that's carried. All right, we have an in-camera session today. The recommendation is that the meeting enter in-camera session to discuss matters pertaining to personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. Ontario Municipal Act 2001, Chapter 25, Section 239, 2B, C, E, and F. Number 1 is the regular council meeting minutes in camera of September 20th, 2022. And number 2 is the human resources meeting minutes in camera of September 20th, 2022. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Wilmer, seconded by Councillor Schulist. All those in favor?
Favor?
And that's carried. And I'll let Gwen take us in camera.